What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Capybara Go video. I've had a lot of people asking about the Cappy Gacha and what my thoughts are on it. What should you be doing? What are some things you should be thinking about? And I got a few tips and some things to think about, especially if you have not thought about the Cappy Gacha at all, but most people have at this point. And I figured, well, I made a bunch of mistakes that made me miss out on a bunch of free resources that I definitely wish I had done a little bit differently. In fact, I didn't even understand the Cappy Gacha in general when I first started, so I definitely wasted like 80 to 100 Cappy coins that I could have used. That said, we got to first talk about what the Cappy Gacha is. Very straightforward. It is using these Cappy coins, or the silver coins, to pull in the Cappy Gacha. You draw a time, you get some manner of these resources. The chances are listed here. And the ultimate prize are these Cappy badges. Now, there has a 1% drop chance, which means in theory, every 100 you should be getting your Cappy badges. In theory. In reality, and of course, that's not like specific math. There's a little bit more to that. But in reality, there are going to be times when you pull a bunch, like 4 to 5, almost 500, and you're not actually getting the Cappy badges. So the ultimate game plan is to save 500 draws on the Cappy Gacha in order for you to guarantee the ultimate prize. Because there are some situations where you will pull, and you will pull, and you will pull, and you will pull, and you're at 480, and you have not received your Cappy badge, and you don't have the 20 draws left, and you don't want to go into the gift packs and spend that, $10 to get those last silver coins, because you're not a spender, and boom, suddenly you are stuck with 480 coins invested with 0 actual prize. And even though going 500 and getting your guaranteed prize isn't that great, because that's incredibly unlucky, it's still better than getting nothing. So the first thing you want to do is save these coins until you have 500 and then go ahead and pull in the Cappy Gacha. And just keep on doing that every 500 when the Cappy Gacha comes around. Sometimes what will happen is like I'll have like 450, and then I will I'll pass on the Cappy Gacha. The next time it comes around, I'll have like 600, and then boom, I pull and I get one in the immediate first 100, and then I pull and I keep going. Right? That's totally reasonable, but just something to keep in mind. As for the next thing is how to actually attain these silver coins. The biggest way is to actually do the dungeon dive. So making sure that you're actually progressing in these floors, making sure you're doing this every single day. I'm actually third in terms of the server that I'm on, in terms of how progressed I've actually been able to get on the dungeon dive. Not that this is incredibly impressive, because I've only been playing for a little while, so I'm not nearly as far as some other options. But making sure you're picking up the 2 refreshes every single day, assuming you're earlier on in the game, and even later on, it's a nice source of horseshoes, even if you're not passing stages. Every single 10th stage, you're going to get a bunch of Cappy coins here, 20, I believe. And that's going to be a nice way to get a bunch of the Cappy coins, or the silver coins, in the earlier stages of the game. As you progress later, it's going to be less and less of those coming from Dungeon Dive and more from the quests. And you'll notice there's actually quite a few quests when this comes in. Some of them are pretty easy, right? Like logging in, great. But some of them are not something that people actually think about. Of course, doing a lot of these is attainable just through the time period that Cappy Gacha is available. For example, participating in the Tower Challenge or clearing Celestial Tree. All of that's pretty attainable. One of the things that I think a lot of people forget about, and I certainly did, and this is a free, 2 coins that you can acquire. And if you don't actually plan for it, you might miss it, because it only lasts for about 2 days, the Cappy Gacha that is starring up collectibles. This is one of the quests that a lot of people miss out because they did not keep their meteorites available for that time. If you look at the collectibles, this is what they're talking about, starring up one of these. And as you can see, I have a lot of meteoric irons here, but you just need to obtain enough to level up at least one of these collectibles during your time with the Cappy Gacha. So save enough, and don't use all of your meteoric irons before the Cappy Gacha comes around. And you can note that in the chest here, is it the silver chests? You could obtain, it's not the silver chest. There's one of these here that's going to attain the meteoric irons. There we go. In the gold chests is really where they're going to come from. You can see here, there's going to be a lot that you can attain from the gold chests. But if you need quite a few of them and you get relatively unlucky with your pulls, you might use enough chests to where you're actually limiting your growth event options for your chest growth event. Now, this is coinciding right now, so that's pretty convenient. But you don't want to be limiting your chest growth event because you mistimed your collectibles. So just make sure you're keeping track of that. Now, what do we actually do with these Cappy badges? Because that's the real important part, right? Okay, we've acquired our Cappy badges by being diligent with our lucky silver coins. We've done all the quests. Great. Okay, what do we spend them on? Well, it really depends on what weapon you're going for. But generally, every single weapon has one mount that is a big priority, and then has one artifact that is a big priority. And that is because that is going to give you initial artifacts, initial mounts for you to use specifically on your mount. Now, depending on what build you're using, will change what mount you want to go with. Now, for Whisper, as an example, there are a couple different options. I actually found going with the Luminous Dragon was very, very productive because of the crit rate bonuses that I was able to provide. But Diego is often considered one of the best ones, mainly because of the combo rate. But depending on how fast you're getting these mounts, you may not have enough combo rate to actually make Diego really provide you more than the extra crit rate that will guarantee you extra daggers thrown from the Whisperer. And also the global attack bonus tends to get a little bit better than the global HP, which can be a little bit valuable. So for example, it would be a choice between the Luminous Dragon or Diego, but I would not buy more Diego copies or more Luminous Dragon copies before I pick up every single mount in this category. And one of the big ones is actually Sphinx for the Whisperer because of the crit rate, which will help you throw out those daggers. That's a nice one to pick up as well. So once I've picked up my primary mount that I want to use for my build, the next thing I want to pick up is the primary artifact. Again, for the Whisperer, that's looking like Pengu Axe. Some people pick up the Flying Knife, but the Pengu Axe is typically a little bit more damage consistent. And then after I pick up my primary mount and primary artifact, I then will start picking up other mounts. Other mounts are going to be pretty powerful because of their global effects. Things like Catastrophe is going to be really nice, not only because of the global effects, but also because it has a pretty powerful awakened ability, reducing target's damage or riding skill. Sphinx, absolutely amazing. It also has a really powerful riding skill. The global bonus is also fantastic. And of course, Luminous Dragon giving you that global attack is going to be really, really solid. After I pick up the mounts, then I will look at the other artifacts typically, because those global effects aren't as powerful, but they do give you another artifact skill that you could utilize in your build. After all of that, then I will be considering getting the pets for Whisper at least. That tends to be the game plan. Now, some builds are a little bit different. For example, you don't need as much combo rate for Sky Splitter, so using the King Slime isn't as good. So you could actually pick up Freya a lot earlier for more crit rate and skill damage. So a little bit fluctuates based on build, as I mentioned, but basically every single build guide will tell you to pick up a primary mount and a primary artifact first for the most part. Again, some builds are a little bit different, but that's usually a good game plan, and then go for whatever specifics that your build is really entailing. Freya, as I said, for Sky Splitter is a really, really nice option. Piggy, less so, but could do some good work in some specific situations. After all of that, after I picked up all the mounts, all the artifacts, the pets in general, I wouldn't actually go back for more pets. What I would go back for is more mount stars. For example, Diego, as I mentioned, as you start to develop your build for the Whisper, is going to be the primary mount that I want. And, well, that means that I'm going to get more star levels for my Diego. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. It's going to give me more speed, which is going to be really important for certain progression. So it's going to give me more global HP. And then as I'm leveling up, once I get 5 stars, I'm going to max out the big thing, which is that mount skill that I wanted with the unlock of Diego. Because it typically is you unlock the mount that you want the mount skill of. So for example, Diego's usually the one most builds are going to want. So getting that maximum combo count and then eventually getting the extra combo rate per turn is what you're going to want to do, which means upgrading the 5-star levels is going to be the essential game plan for this purchase. You want to be picking up that main mount. And that's pretty much the whole story of the Cappy Gacha. It's actually pretty simple, but a lot of people, they just, they come in, they see a spin, it's early game, you just use your resources and you move on. And then they never really kind of figure out what they want to do. And a lot of the times it is really, really unfortunate because there's a lot of progression to be had. And if you don't know what to be picking up, then you can really stall your 5-star mount unlock, and that can really stall your overall game plan and your overall power level of a lot of the builds. So just something to keep in mind. Hopefully that helps, guys. I know a lot of you were curious about it, so I decided to make it just a quick video for it today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next one.